The Knives Out movies are a treat. Smart mysteries that play fair with everything a viewer needs to solve the case right there on screen for the finding. It makes rewatching, at least of certain scenes, totally worth it. Because in the big reveal where Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc explains how it all went down, you can see for yourself what you might have missed the first time around. It all makes paying attention pay off. Having said that, I challenge you to rewatch the second film, Glass Onion, for one specific reason. When exactly did Blanc figure out that Ed Norton's Miles Bron was an idiot? He implies that it all added up after spending a day observing the man. The killer nearly struck my Achilles heel, but thank high heaven at the last moment I realized what had teased my entire brain through this entire case. And he lists a lot of little hints and oddities that something is wrong with Bron, and finally says, "It all adds up. The key to this entire case, and it was staring me right in the face. Like everyone in the world, I assumed Miles Bron was a complicated genius, but why? Look into the clear center of this glass onion. Miles Bron is an idiot." But did it really take all day to figure that out? Was there anything extremely obvious early on that might have given it all away? Looking back at a certain painting when he starts his reveal, the line "it was staring me right in the face," that painting peering over his shoulder during the entire monologue, the Mona Lisa, the famous painting of the famous woman with the famous smile, the inscrutable smile, a smile suggesting she knows something you do not. A work of art that, as some other YouTubers have pointed out here and there, was painted on a panel of white poplar, not on canvas. Yet at the end of the film it is clearly canvas that catches fire, curls up in flame, and burns to ash. Canvas, not a panel of wood. Rian Johnson said as much. "We got a very talented local Belgrade artist to do a recreation of the Mona Lisa, and it was kind of extraordinary having it on set. I didn't realize this, but if you get a recreation like this, you have to destroy them when you're done filming, if it's a famous work of art. You actually have to document yourself burning the canvas because of the counterfeit market." Benoit Blanc would have known the painting was a fake the moment he first looked upon this supposed treasure displayed in Bron's home gallery. In the narrative, Bron lent the Louvre a lot of money, and they let him take out the Mona Lisa on a short-term loan to display in his home, since it was during the COVID pandemic and that museum was closed anyway. How funny would it be if the people in charge understood that Bron was an imbecile, or at least didn't know much about most of the things he babbled on about, and gave him a fake, and he didn't know at all, because Bron is an idiot. Blanc is not, and maybe he attributed the fake Mona Lisa to Bron kind of testing his so-called friends by putting an imitation in front of them and seeing if they fell for it, or, even if they knew, would be all emperor's new clothes and fawn over what they knew was a fake, afraid to contradict their benefactor. I lean towards none of them knowing it was a fake Mona Lisa, and now that something they perceived as being damaging to all human culture and history, some indelible tragedy that could never go unnoticed, had happened, there was no reason to keep bowing and scraping before the altar of Bron. So Blanc kept his mouth shut, all the while knowing it was a fake and that Bron was too stupid to notice, so that Bron's false allies would be free to turn on him and testify about their knowledge of the murders he committed, and Bron's whole world would fittingly crumble. Bron mentioned early on that he wanted a legacy where his name would be mentioned in the same breath as the Mona Lisa, and destroying the real one would be the ironic realization of that dream. But the Mona Lisa being fake was always the plan. Rian Johnson again. We also shot a little coda, which we decided not to use, with Blanc on the phone speaking French and getting a little affirmation of "ah, oui, oui, merci," and cutting to an office in the Louvre where the real Mona Lisa is, with the security guard saying, "Well, back to work." But that pulls a punch, and I like that the real painting gets destroyed in the movie. So what we see in the movie is the real Mona Lisa going up in smoke, but that doesn't mean it was the real Mona Lisa. Maybe it tests us just as it tests the characters in the film, and only Blanc knows the truth. But what do you think? Do you want it to be the real Mona Lisa, or do you think it is more fitting as a fake and that super dumb Bron and his kowtowing false friends didn't notice? Do you think Blanc clued into the fake Mona Lisa right away, didn't know what to make of it, and finally tallied that up with all of the other signs that Bron's IQ was double digits? Let me know in the comments. And leave a like, share this if you want, and consider subscribing to my channel for more stuff like this, the usual YouTube stuff, and it would be greatly appreciated. I'm Jason. Thanks for watching. See you next time.